Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. Felicien Kabuga, a 91-year-old alleged Rwandan war criminal, died in custody in The Hague, Netherlands, on Saturday, according to the United Nations and reported by UPI. Kabuga had faced charges of genocide, conspiracy to commit genocide, incitement to genocide, and crimes against humanity related to the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi people in Rwanda, which claimed an estimated 500,000 to 1 million lives. He was arrested in Paris in 2020 after years of evading capture. His trial, which began in September 2022, was indefinitely stayed in September 2023 due to his severe cognitive impairment, rendering him unfit to stand trial. At the time of his death, Kabuga was awaiting provisional release to a country willing to accept him. He was the founder of the RTLM radio station, which allegedly broadcast anti-Tutsi messages and assisted in identifying victims during the genocide. NHK reports that China's Commerce Ministry announced an in-principle agreement with the United States to lower tariffs on specific goods. This understanding was reached during U.S. President Donald Trump's recent visit to China and his talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Thursday. According to the ministry, the two nations agreed to establish trade and investment councils through which discussions would lead to the reduction of tariffs on products of mutual concern. Furthermore, they committed to addressing import restrictions on agricultural products, including Chinese dairy goods and American beef, with the goal of expanding overall trade. In the aviation sector, China agreed to purchase aircraft from the U.S., while the U.S. committed to supplying aircraft engines and related parts. President Trump separately mentioned that China would buy 200 Boeing aircraft and billions of dollars worth of U.S. soybeans. A ministry spokesperson indicated that the specifics of the agreement are still being deliberated with a view to finalizing the outcomes as swiftly as possible. UPI reports that the Trump administration is considering establishing a $767 billion in fund to reimburse allies for legal fees incurred during investigations by the Biden administration. This proposed fund is part of a broader settlement negotiation with former President Donald Trump intended to resolve his lawsuit against the Internal Revenue Service concerning the leak of his tax returns 6 years ago. The initiative aims to provide compensation not only for those investigated during Trump's first term, but also potentially for individuals charged in connection with the Jan 6, 2021 Capitol riot. Critics have denounced the plan as a slush fund for Trump and his associates, with Senator Elizabeth Warren, DMAS, labeling it an insane level of corruption. The concept draws inspiration from a previous Obama administration compensation fund for Native American farmers and ranchers. According to Ziyo Shabal, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte is set to meet with leaders of major European defense groups next week in Brussels. His primary objective is to urge these companies to increase investment and boost their production capacity. This initiative is part of NATO's broader effort to strengthen Europe's military capabilities and simultaneously address the concerns of former U.S. President Donald Trump, who has expressed dissatisfaction with NATO members' defense spending. The discussions are intended to pave the way for a significant announcement at the NATO Annual Summit in Ankara, Turkey, in July. European allies aim to reach a defense spending target of 5% of GDP by 2035, which would mean an additional $1 trillion annually compared to 2024. This move also reflects Europe's desire to reduce its reliance on the United States amid rising doubts about Washington's commitment. The article notes a long-standing disagreement between arms companies, who blame governments for insufficient long-term contracts, and national defense ministries, who argue that companies have been slow to ramp up production. While ammunition shortages are being tackled, securing long-range missiles remains a major challenge. NTD News reports that China has announced it will ease restrictions on U.S. beef and poultry imports, a move that follows a two-day summit in Beijing between U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping. The Chinese Commerce Ministry, which called the discussions overall balanced and positive, stated that the countries will establish a trade council, create an investment council, and work to remove agricultural trade barriers. As part of the agreement, Beijing will facilitate more U.S.-based beef processing plants to export to China and relax restrictions on U.S. poultry. Over 400 U.S. beef plants were previously unable to export to China. U.S. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins confirmed the deal, noting that China will allow beef imports from companies in 17 states, which is expected to restore significant value for cattle ranchers. China also reportedly seeks U.S. recognition of its coastal Shandong province as a bird flu-free zone. The agricultural deal's start dates were not specified. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.